It's secretly about school shootings. At 2:17 in the morning, 17 kids ran into the dark. Same second, same direction, arms out like planes. A witch took them. That's the official story. But there's something in this movie a witch has no reason to show you. A gun. A real one. An AR-15, floating over the house where the kids are hidden. So why is it there? Because the answer was never really a witch. Watch the grieving father. His name's Archer. He falls asleep in his missing son's bed, and he dreams. And in that dream, that rifle hangs over the house. The exact weapon tied to real mass shootings. A witch movie has no reason to put that on screen. So start counting what else doesn't fit. The movie is literally called Weapons. 17 children vanish from one classroom. Hold on to that number. 17. Because 17 is exactly how many people were killed at Parkland in 2018. Now look at the gun again. It's stamped with 3 digits. 217. In 2022, an assault weapons ban passed the House with exactly 217 votes in favor. Then the Senate let it die. Nothing changed. Kids kept dying. So think about what you're really watching. Children who disappear all at once, from one room. A town that can't protect them. A weapon nobody can explain. And a number pulled straight from a gun law that failed. It sounds insane, but every piece of it is on screen. Here's the part that gets strange. The director, Zach Kreger, denies all of it. He says it was never about America. He says it came from somewhere personal. But clues don't care what the director says. And that number, 217. The gun is only the first place it's hiding. It's buried all through this film. One of the places it turns up will tell you exactly what happened to these kids after they came home. And that's the part nobody's ready for. Hold that thought. The 217 code. You already saw 217 on the gun, but Kreger buried it somewhere he actually admitted to. It's a nod to The Shining. Room 217, the haunted room from Stephen King's novel, where something evil waits behind the door. Kreger thought about changing it. He didn't. He kept 217 on purpose. That's the part he'll confirm. Everything after this, he won't. Count who's still standing when it's over. 2 people walk away untouched. Alex, the one kid who didn't run, and Justine, his teacher. 2 survivors. 17 taken. 217. 217. You'd think that's it. It isn't. The film has 7 main characters. Each one gets a chapter, about 12 minutes long. 217. The shape of the whole movie spells it out again. But here's the one that stops you cold. Open the Bible to Matthew, chapter 2, verse 17. It describes a massacre. A king orders every young child in the land killed. And the verse is a mother weeping for her children, because they're gone. A line about murdered kids. Numbered 217. Inside a movie about 17 kids taken at 217. And the boy at the center of the bully's fear? His name is Matthew. Kreger never says any of this out loud. He just leaves it sitting there. But a number doesn't turn up this many times by accident. At some point, it stops being a pattern and starts being a message, which leaves the one question the number can't answer. What is Gladys? And the movie already told you, in a single frame, before the first scene even played. Gladys is addiction. There's a clue here you saw before the movie technically started. Look at the title card, the word weapons. Now look at the letter O. There's a triangle inside it. That triangle is the symbol for Alcoholics Anonymous. The movie's telling you what it's about, then daring you to notice. Now watch what Gladys actually does. She shows up frail and harmless, a sweet old relative who just needs a place to stay. The family lets her in out of kindness. Then she takes over. She drains the life out of that house. She turns a normal home into a place you're scared to walk into. Kreger said it plainly. Gladys is addiction. She's the bottle. She's the drug. The thing that walks into a family and slowly everyone changes around it. And it's personal for him. Kreger grew up with an alcoholic parent. He's talked about how the roles flip. The kid ends up raising the adult. The child becomes the parent. So look at the ending again. It's the kids who rise up. The kids who tear her apart. Because that's a child finally destroying the thing that broke their home. Watch James, the addict in the story. The second he skips his meetings, he's done. He relapses almost instantly. Anyone who's lived near addiction knows exactly how fast that fall comes. So this was never just a witch movie. It's Kreger hiding his own childhood inside a horror film. But that's only what Gladys means. What she is so much worse. And she gives herself away with a single word. Gladys isn't human. Everyone assumes Gladys is just an old woman with dark powers. But one word she says suggests she's been alive far longer than any human should be. At one point, she mentions consumption. Nobody says consumption anymore. It's the old name for tuberculosis, the disease that killed people back in the 1800s. So why reach for a word that's been dead for a century? Unless you were alive when people still used it. That tiny slip cracks the whole character open. Maybe Gladys isn't Alex's great aunt at all. Maybe she just wears the shape of one. Something old, jumping from body to body to keep on living. And here's what tells you it's deliberate. Kreger gave the actress two secret backstories to pick from. In one, Gladys is a dying woman using witchcraft to survive. In the other, she was never human, an immortal thing pretending to be a person. And he never told anyone which one she chose. That's why the movie refuses to explain her. The tree, the little bell, the triangle for the three things her spell needs. A whole system of magic, and you're handed almost none of it. The gaps are the point. Because Warner Brothers is already making a prequel. It's just called Gladys, an entire film built around the one secret this movie fought to keep. So whatever she is, we're nowhere near done with her. And it brings us back to those kids. Remember what I said the ending would do to you? Even after they tear Gladys apart and go home, the movie says one last thing. And that one line quietly kills the happy ending you thought you got. The kids were never really saved. On the surface, Weapons ends like a win. The kids wake up, the spell breaks. All 17 turn on Gladys and rip her apart. The nightmare's over. Except it isn't. The movie ends the way it began. A calm voice, talking over the screen. And what it tells you is brutal. Years go by. And the kids who came back, a lot of them still can't speak. Only some ever learned to talk again. They were handed back to their families, but they were never really returned. Something got left in that basement. And Alex, the boy who saved everyone, his parents never recover. They stay hollow. They end up in a home, and Alex gets sent to live with a different aunt. He wins, and he still loses everything. There's no clean victory here. The town survives, but every family that got their kid back also got a stranger wearing their kid's face. And it was almost darker. In the first cut Kreger shot, there was no voice at the end, no explanation, no comfort. The movie just held on the blank, dead face of one recovered kid, then cut to black. He tested that version with a real audience. When the credits hit, someone just said it out loud. What the hell? People couldn't sit with it. So he added the voiceover. Not to make it happy, just to give you something small to hold on to. It's still one of the bleakest endings horror has put on screen in years. Nobody walks away whole. Which leaves the biggest question of all. The one that explains the title, and ties every single thing you've just heard into one idea. We're all the weapons. So why call it weapons? At first, it makes no sense. There's no bomb, no army, just a witch in a room full of kids. So where's the weapon? That's the trick. The weapon was never the gun or the spell. It was people. Watch what everyone in this town does with their pain. The grieving father turns his grief into rage and aims it at the teacher. The town turns its fear into a mob. Neighbors turn on neighbors. And Gladys barely lifts a finger. She just walks in and uses what's already there. She doesn't build the damage. The town was already loaded. That's the real horror. The weapon is grief. The weapon is fear. The weapon is a whole community too scared and too angry to protect its own kids. Even the children become weapons. They run into the night like something fired from a barrel. And by the end, they're aimed right back at the thing that took them. Now go back to where we started. 17 kids sprinting into the dark, and that gun in the father's dream that nobody can explain. Here's the last twist. Kreger admitted he loves that scene because he doesn't understand it either. He built it so every single person watching walks out with a different answer. That's why all 6 of these can be true at once. School shootings, addiction, grief, something ancient, a town that destroyed itself. The movie never picks one. It just hands you a mirror, and whatever's staring back at you in it, that was the weapon all along.